great seeing everybody. What a great turnout. I expect to see it like this every Monday, right? Every Monday at noon. So hope you all had a great summer. It was good seeing some of you at SEC Media Days. And since then it's been great to get started. We've been on the grass for 2 days officially with our team. I like the way practice has started. The guys are in very good shape. They worked very hard this off season. Credit to our strength and conditioning team with Mark Hill and Corey Edmond and their staff. The players look really good. The coaches have worked quite a bit, as I've mentioned before, a little bit more freedom and autonomy for us to work with our players through the summer, and that's evident, but that's going to be the same way with everybody. I think teams are going to be further along than they used to be, just with the ability to work with them some more in the summer. So off to a good start. I feel pretty good about this football team. I feel like we have depth in key areas. Injury bug hit us a bit in the spring. I'll get into that a little bit for you so we don't have to ask all the questions. But overall, good depth, good team, good attitude, and really excited to continue to push forward. I think last year I mentioned to you there's it's open to you guys this afternoon. I think you guys are going to come to practice if you want, and so you could go out there and get your own eyes on the team. So I look forward to seeing you out there in practice and having a great year. With the injuries, Josiah Hayes will be out for an extended period of time. Tavion Gadsden, who filled in as a young D lineman last year for Josiah in the spring, he'll be out for an extended period of time. If these are either going to be the full year or close to it. Same with Quavo Marshall at corner, and then Darren Henry Young at defensive line as well. Outside of that, we're in pretty decent shape. We have just one guy out there that you'll probably go out and look for at practice. He won't be out there, just a soft tissue injury. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape. You have to be, we will see as we move forward. There's certainly some guys that have been around a long time. You look at J.J. Weaver, De'Eric Jackson, even Marcus Cox, even though he's a transfer, been around for a while. So I feel very good about it. That is always developed as the year goes on and through training camp. Even yesterday was good. The first day we go out there, it was beautiful weather, it was overcast, and it was almost cool. Then yesterday the sun broke out and there was some heat and some humidity, and as we go through practice, as guys get tired and get irritable, your true colors kind of shine when you get tired and hot and irritable, and that's going to be a long camp. So I think that's when the leadership will need great leadership as we move forward.
Transfers coming in pretty good.
I like our team. I like I do. They really helped our team. I think we took a transfer at just about every position except tight end. So we just want to supplement our roster in that area. I don't have those numbers. I had them right before I went to the media days, but I want to say maybe overall we're at 35, 36, and that's a good mixture right there. I still feel like the majority of our team is guys that we recruit out of high school, and try to want to continue to follow that model, recruit and develop young men, and then supplement them with the portal when we need to.
Mark, given the depth at nose guard, what are your expectations for Denius Jackson as a guy you added late in the process and kind of flew under the radar?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that we needed to add for that very reason, John. We just felt like we took some hits at that specific position, and so even as we want to be physical and get through camp, he's a big body in there that we needed.
Retention, install.
Pardon me?
Retention, install, you said it's going pretty well?
Yeah, if you look at our team, defensively, we return guys that have played a lot of football for us. And I think that's important, in our defensive staff, the continuity that we have there. And then the players that have game experience is invaluable. And then you add a guy like Pop, who's played a lot of ball at Georgia, so there's some pretty good experience there. Offensively, again, there's some guys that played a lot. I think we supplemented in some areas that we needed to. Certainly in the quarterback position, you know, we've gone to the portal for several years now. We feel really good about the high school guy. We took in Cutter. He's going to be a special player, but we want to give him time to mature and grow. And but Brock has done a very good job, and you know, we're excited about him. And then also Gavin, you know, and what he brings to the table. He's got some snaps under his belt in the Big Ten. He's a big, strong guy. He could throw it. He could run. And then, you know, it was also really good to bring Bo back. You know, you've seen what happened in years past when you're not deep at that position. Some funny things can happen, so we feel like we do have some really quality depth at that position.
Mark, you guys have always had a staple of your offensive line in the early years, especially just being a strong suit here. You guys kind of had some bumps in the road a few years ago, picked it back up again last year. What are your expectations for that room? I know it's early in camp, but just how are they developing?
Yeah, I want to continue to grow. I think that there's no mystery there. You know, I've said it since day one. It's very important. We have Eric Wolford back. I think Coach Wolford does a phenomenal job, not only coaching and at practice, but the way he recruits. And you know, I feel like we're going to continue to progress in there, and then we're going to continue to add depth. We're going to continue to get better, and so I feel much better about that position.
Walker's a guy that you always expect big things out of. This seems like an especially big year for him. What do you expect from him as a head coach?
Yeah, just Dion. I just, you know, want him to continue to progress. He certainly has. I think he'll be the first one to tell you he's working really hard, just physically on his body. He's working hard to continue to be a strong leader for us and make a difference on and off the field. He's very disruptive. Obviously, the length that he has, the way he plays, he's a unique individual. That's for sure. There's not too many guys, you know, playing that look like him and that have that kind of size and you know, speed and the mobility that he has. He's a very explosive guy for his size. So I just want to see him take another step.
Coach, looking at the younger guys on the defensive side, some of the incoming freshmen, especially the Smith twins, what have you liked seeing from them over these last couple of practices?
Yeah, the Smith brothers, it's good to see them out there, you know, full strength and getting better. You know, Gerard is a guy that put on some weight. He is, you know, very, you know, he's getting, you know, very explosive for a young guy. And so we will see where that takes him. And Jacob, he didn't get a chance. I think you guys heard me talk briefly post-spring about just seeing him out there, seeing him on his feet. He had a shoulder injury, so he wasn't able to do too much in the spring. But right now, you know, we've had 2 days without shoulder pads on, and he looks good. And they're good players, and you know, give them a chance to grow up and just get in the system for a while. But good players.
There's obviously a lot of depth at receiver this year, but spring there's a lot of talk of Hartley Gilmore. So what are kind of the expectations from him this year?
Yeah, again, I think with Hartley, he had an opportunity this spring to really show, at times, really show some flashes. And he's a guy we still really think highly of. But he's a freshman, you know, and again, just as I mentioned with the Smith twins, just give him a chance to grow up and mature and learn and grow. And so I don't want to put the expectations too high on any young man until they have an opportunity to continue to be in our system and go through some practices. So there's some guys ahead of them that have some pretty good experience that are pretty good players.
You mentioned you got a lot of experienced guys back on defense. Where do you want to get better defensively last year? I mean, this year over last year?
Well, there's a number of areas. I mean, you know, we want to continue to get off the field. You know, we did a decent job at times, but we got to, you know, get better at third down. You know, and execute and get some more 3-and-outs, get off the field. I'd like to see the offense have more possessions, more plays. We've talked about that with the tempo with the offense, but that goes hand in hand. The defense has to play well and get off the field. When we have opportunities to get off the field, we have to do that. You know, I think we were disruptive last year. I like that. I like the fact that we created negative yardage plays. We had some more sacks. We're getting some pressure, but we want to continue to build on that. You want to continue to be able to, when you want to, rush for and get great pressure. You know, when some of the best defenses we've had here, was predictable pass and, rushing forward, playing coverage and mixing up the coverages and getting good pressure, and so I think that's an area that we need to improve. I think obviously the corner position, getting sticky, being able to play some man. There's times when we played man last year, got beat, believe me, we mix it all up. And, there's times when we have to play tight. We got to get sticky, we got to get tighter coverage. We have to be able to win some one-on-one matchups.
Mark, speaking on that cornerback position, you didn't have much experience last year outside of Andrew. Now it seems like you've got a lot more experience this year. Have you seen that maybe start to pay off so far in the offseason and start to practice?
So far, I mean, it's been just 2 days. So we'll see as we continue to go through. I know there's more bodies out there to work with. And I feel like we've built some depth at that position. And we still have some guys that maybe don't have a ton of experience, but have another year under their belt. So, we'll see. A guy like DJ Waller, that we brought in a transfer, has great length, like some of the other corners we've had in years past. JQ is a guy that was here last year, but I'd like to see a little more out of him. We feel like we have a great one in Maxwell, and I think he's geared up to have a really big year, and he needs to. Jansen Dunn is a guy that we talked about. We're, play some nickel, playing well at corner. Again, I'd like to see some growth in that area from him. And then Ryan Nichols, a young freshman that was impressive for us in the spring when he was out there. He had an injury as well in the spring, but he's back to full strength. A guy like Nasir Addison was with us all last year. I feel like he has the skills to be successful as well. But I need to continue, and we need to continue to challenge him to see if he can make that next step.
Mark, we're a few years into that era of college football. We're bringing in 30-plus guys isn't really an odd thing that much anymore. That continuity that you were talking about before, how have you had to adjust as a head coach to make sure that hits quicker, and how has this year maybe been easier in installing that stuff?
Yeah, I think, we have great leadership. I think, as we mentioned, I feel like the transfers that we brought in fit well here. I think that's an important piece to make sure the transfers are coming for the right reason and they fit our system. And then with us, we just try to expedite that process and have them more in tune to our culture earlier than normal, and try to continue to feed them that message. And sometimes it's like drinking with a fire hose, but we want to do the best we can to educate them and to see that the culture that we want.
Mark, 12 years is, not to call you old, but that's a long time.
Oh, no, you can't.
And for you, to still have to learn so much about the sport, obviously it's changing so much, and then the rule changes, college athletics as a whole. Does it ever surprise you how much you still have to learn each and every day?
No, that doesn't. It doesn't. That's been that way, since day one. When you walk in here, I said it, 12 years ago, through some ups and some downs, and mostly downs early on, but that I was prepared for it. I knew what I was getting into. That doesn't mean that it's easy. That doesn't mean that you take it all in stride. Every day you walk in there, there's a new challenge, or something you have to deal with, and I embrace that. There's young men that are going through things in there that need counseling, that need talked to, that you got to put your arm around sometimes. You got to push them when they don't want to be pushed, and I love that part of it. And so there's just different challenges each and every day, and I feel as good about that right now as I did then, as far as embracing those challenges, and sometimes they're more difficult than others.
How well of a job do you feel like you have done building this program?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I can't, that's a soundbite right now. I'll leave that to you all. I'm just trying to, as I mentioned, I really truly am. I think we have a great staff, a really good team. I'm just trying to get better.
Coach, you guys have had a really strong running game as long as you've been here, and a lot of new faces in that run. Following Chris and Benny and Ray, it's tough to follow up, and Bush has said you guys are going to run the ball. How's that run progressing, and with him being the new OC, just talk about the run game for us.
Well, I really like, what he does in the run game with Bush. There's no doubt. I mean, any good offensive coordinator is going to won't have that ability to be able to run. We talked about it. We talked about with the offensive line and up front. We have to be more physical. We have to be able to get tough yards. We were, at our best, or doing some really good things when the entire stadium knew we were going to run the ball, and we still ran the ball for some success. At critical moments, you're still going to need to do that. Sometimes when you bleed the clock or trying to win a game, or in 4-minute offense, you have to be tough and physical and run the ball when everybody knows you're going to run the ball. Obviously, I think we're looking for that balance. And you're going to be able to create explosive plays if you're able to run the ball better. That's just the nature of the beast. So I like what Bush is doing. I like the way he mixes it up. He does a very good job of window dressing. He does a very good job of cutting off the defense and with deception, with motions. It's a mixture. Getting things on the perimeter, with running things downhill, and the play action off of it. So I feel good. The running back room, to some extent, is unproven. We'll see. What they will do. I believe in those guys. I think there's a really good mixture of players in there where we have the big, strong bruisers that we've had before, and some guys that can be electric in the open field. So I think that'll work its way out.
Better on special teams last year, but adding Laros to kind of help for the field position, how important was that addition?
Yeah, I think it was really important just to improve, and we're going to continue to work at that, and get better. And the same with Jacob Callaway, eventually replace Alex, after this year. But you don't know. Maybe he'll hit a few this year too. Yesterday was the first time, because he didn't kick the first day, but yesterday was the first time I saw him kick live, and he nailed a 50-yarder right down me with plenty of room. So we'll see. I feel like we want to continue to get better. I think we were much better in special teams at times when it showed its ugly head the wrong way. A lot of times it was kicks, and that's something that we need to be very consistent at.
Mark, you've been saying that you want to.
Last question.
You've been saying that you've been wanting to snap the ball a lot more frequently and play at a maybe higher tempo this year. How have you been working on that tempo with the offense, and how much are you going to be working on making sure that it stays at a faster pace?
Again, I think I want everybody to understand this. I've said it 20 times. Yes, I do, but I'm not trying to be a tempo offense. We're not trying to be, Ole Miss and Tennessee and some of those teams that do it exceptionally well, and they just snap it with 30 seconds on the play clock. That's a different style, and it's very difficult to defend, and they do it very well. That's just, we can't be that overnight. I just also don't want to snap it with 2 and 3 and 4 seconds on the play clock either. I'd like to see more snaps. So there's going to be a balance there. We're not trying to be in a complete hurry. We're just trying to be more efficient, get in a rhythm, and get some more plays off. So any of these offensive coordinators have that ability to go super fast, to go medium, to go at the line. I think just trying to get in a rhythm and hopefully get some more snaps. That also comes from getting first downs. If we get first downs, guys are going to get more touches. So you have to make sure you're still putting them in a position to be successful. And again, that just like I touched on earlier, defense getting off the field, special teams putting us in good position, and offense getting first downs. You do that, then we're not going to sit here after a game saying, why did so-and-so only get so many of this and so many of that, because we only had 55 plays, 60 plays. Sometimes that's frustrating, because I do feel like we have some playmakers, but we have to get first downs, and then we'll get more touches.
Okay, folks, thank you.
You see him as like a wildcat quarterback, you see him using he and Brock at the same time, and what do you envision? How do you envision using him?
We're only 2-3 practices in, so I would definitely agree with that. I think we're going to utilize him in a lot of those wildcat type situations at the very least, but we know this, you guys know this about this conference. You have the opportunity to acquire talent, and you got to do that. He's a big, physical, talented player. I think when you guys get the opportunity to see him at practice, you'll see how dynamic of a player he is. And so a little bit of, wait and see on how that role goes.
But what are you emphasizing with Brock? going into fall after the spring and the summer?
We've discussed it before, I think so much of it is a leadership part. You're a new guy coming into a new program, new offensive coordinator, so much is about scheme and the plays, but don't lose sight of what that looks like when you're in a locker room and building those relationships with the guys as the true signal caller. Certainly from a play style standpoint, it always comes down to accuracy, to decision-making, toughness, but we really don't want to lose sight of that leadership part.
Is he adjusting to your system pretty well?
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He really is. He's
Smart guy.
Smart player, tough, can run, all those things. Again, I think we've had success with probably in the last 3 to 5 years. A guy like Brady Cook at Missouri, you see what his skill set looks like, what Taylor Green did last year at Boise, Maddox Madsen. We think he's right in the mold of a guy we like for this system.
I know it's not been a few practices, but what's the biggest trait that you've liked from him so far at the quarterback position?
He's a consummate pro. I've said that multiple times. This is a big-time football league. We get done with practices at 6:30. He wants to be up in the facility. He's already watching games on opponents, all those types of things. We know at this position it comes down to kind of locking yourself in that room, if you will, taking aside what the naysayers have to say and just working and keep getting better every day, and I think he's a guy that understands that.
Bush, a lot of talk about establishing the run, getting more physical up front. Just what are your thoughts, like right now, going into the season, about the offensive line? It seems like y'all maybe have the most experienced line when you just talk about starts. How much can that help you kind of accomplish that goal?
We've got good depth, and I think you mentioned it right there. It's certainly, there's the comfort feeling about, Eli Cox at center and what he can do and the amount of games he's played in. Certainly feel good about those guys. We've got a long way to go, as you know. Most coaches are going to say that just three practices in, but certainly needs to be a really solid group for us with the amount of starts those guys have made.
Liam Cohen brought an NFL schematic last year, and it started to challenge Devin Leary's ability to get plays off. Is it your expectation that using that new helmet comm system is going to make your ability to do complex plays with your quarterback easier?
I think so. I think the starting point is still trying to keep it as simple as possible for guys to go play fast. I think the even more critical thing, though, is the challenge on me of what information to give them. As you guys know, we're all maybe parents. Sometimes our kids don't want to hear a lot, but they just got to hear enough. And I think of that, when we get that play call in, how can we be clear, concise, repetitive, and give him just the things he needs to be successful for that play?
Mark just spoke a little.
Last year where Barryon was just kind of begging to hit on one of those deep balls. And he obviously has that ability to get open down the field, but he was just begging. I mean, he was open on a lot of those. Do you see that, being obviously not going to hit home run balls every play, but is there the opportunity to hit on some of those, and do you see him kind of taking that jump in?
Everything we have to do is to throw the ball downfield and get him those opportunities. So in this system, we want to run the football, but the number one, first and foremost thing is creating explosive plays. And we are going to look to do that early. We're going to look to do that often with him and some of these other guys in this room that can do it, because as you know, when you have a premier player like him, defenses are going to lean to his side at times and create a lot of one-on-one opportunities for about 5 or 6 other guys that we feel can all contribute and make plays. We're excited about the potential for throwing him the ball down the field, but also getting him the ball in space and what he can do as a ball carrier.
Coach, you guys have a lot of folks in that wide receiver room, but Barryon and Dane have been here for 3 years, 3 offensive coordinators, 3 quarterbacks. How do you feel like some of those guys that have been in that room for a while are adjusting to your system, this quarterback, because they've been through so much turnover?
They've got a level of experience. Again, they've played for some great coaches, some great systems, so a lot of it just comes down to, we used to call this scheme, and now we're calling it that scheme. What guys like that never lose, though, is the technique and the fundamentals and the experience. That always stays with you, even with a change in the coordinator. So excited about those guys. There's a level of maturity, again, in this league, right? From one week to the next of just staying the course. We're going to rely on their experience in that position. Certainly with some of these younger guys that are extremely talented, who we think we can get going.
Mark just spoke a little bit about the tempo and finding a balance between what that looks like. To you, what does that look
We
like?
are going to run 100 plays a game. Oh man, I think I lose sleep over the tempo question, and you guys coming here and asking me. I think the biggest thing this is with tempo in our systems that we've had. Again, if you go back to the tape, right? I think about last year at Memphis, we get down, we've got the ability, I think we put 17 points up in like 7 minutes because we have the ability to play extremely fast. We always want to be somewhere in the middle, and what that means is have the flexibility, depending on how the game's going, to do whatever it takes to win the football game, and I think that's important for us all to know. For me, the checklist in fall camp is we got periods where we are playing as fast as anybody in the country. One-word plays, getting up there, snapping the ball within 7 seconds. We also have that focus where we can huddle, operate, execute, take time off the clock. So I know everybody wants to play fast. It always comes back down to execution with us. And I think the thing I want you guys to know is we are going to have the ability to play fast and keep people on their feet.
Bush, Stoops mentioned you guys didn't really have to add anything to that tight end room. There's a lot of experience and a lot of depth in that room. What do you expect to see from them this year, and how are you kind of trying to use them this year?
Okay, that's the second question I'm losing sleep over, right, is are we getting the tight ends the ball? So, again, it's a solid group from top to bottom, right? When we think about the 3 guys between Dingle, Caddis, Kamari, the talent level with Kamari is an intriguing young player for us as well. Any types of systems like this, we want to establish the run and create explosives down the field. No better player to create explosives with than the tight end, because obviously defenses think they're in all the run schemes. So it's going to be a balance, certainly with each player, of asking him to be a physical blocker down the field and create explosives. We think those guys will be an intricate part of our passing game.
Bush, getting to work with Jamori Macklin again, what have you seen from him from the last time you saw him, and could he maybe be a guy that can be back that explosive playmaker for y'all?
He's in that category of Dane and Berryon, from a guy who's been through a lot. That's a 21-year-old college football player that has seen it at different levels, played a lot of football. We have been extremely impressed with his route running ability, his ability to make guys miss. He's a guy that's just, chipping away at it, but he's certainly the next guy we're looking to get the ball to.
So would you like it here in Lexington?
Love it. It's been great. I mean this. I said this earlier. There's great people in the city, and I think you guys know that, how they've welcomed me. It's been a great place for my wife, my kids, and the culture here is just different. It's special. It really is. Again, I haven't been anywhere where you got a head coach that's been in place for 12 years, and then you look at the staff, right? This has got to be one of the longest tenured staffs in America, and that just speaks to what Coach has done. They know exactly what he wants. They know exactly how it needs to be done, what the standard is. And because of that, it's a culture where the players are excited to be here every day. He understands we got to get them ready, but that doesn't mean we got to burn them out and wear them out on day one. And I just think the mixture of all those things, how tremendous the people of the city have been, the culture Coach has here, to understanding that he has nothing comes to his desk that he's surprised by, with the experience he has made this an unbelievable fit for me and my family.
Thanks, everyone.
You were getting to
Last
know
one.
your personnel when you got here, after, having gone through spring and learning more about them. Is there anything that maybe you tweaked or adjusted?
I'm sorry, say it one more time on the front end.
You were getting to know your personnel
Yeah.
when you got here, and having gone through spring, getting to know them a little better, seeing what you got, have you kind of adjusted or tweaked anything that maybe you thought about them coming into the job?
Yeah, I think so. You're always doing that. I think the biggest thing is just the challenge of you have your position room battles, and players think, okay, here I am, I'm second on the depth chart at receiver, I'm third at the depth chart at receiver. The biggest thing that I'm just echoing to them is we have battles from group to group, and what I mean by that is, right, there's times you're making the decision, we play with 13 personnel, 3 tight ends in the game. There's groups we like 12 personnel, we like 11 personnel. Right now, we feel like we could go out there with 4 wide receivers, and do some different things. So I think that's the biggest thing, not necessarily schematically the change in plays, but who's going to be doing those plays. And that's what we've been stressing to the players all along is we got to find those guys that have the ability to do a lot of different things. And if they can do a lot of different things well, they're going to be on the field.
What are some things that you were not happy about last year that you really want to focus on with your guys this year?
Yeah, when you look back and you self-scout yourself and you look what you need to do better, obviously third down defense, and there were some specifically towards the back end of the season, third and long situations, especially extra long, was an area that historically, if you look, we've been really good. And we were not anywhere close to the standard that we need to be at. And it cost us, and when you give up third downs, you extend drives, and extended drives leads to points. It leads to less opportunities for the offense. So obviously that's going to be a primary focus. Again, the year before in 22 was sort of our best year ever in third down defense, and there's a correlation to how well we played as a defense. So we need to get back there.
Brad, at nose tackle, there's some cross-training going on now that Josiah's out for the year. How do you feel about that group collectively that they'll be able to replace that loss?
Yeah, no, you know what? Obviously, when you lose a player, some other guys have to step up. That's the reality of sport. That's the reality, and we've dealt with it every year here at some position or another. I feel really good. If it was going to happen out of position, that's probably the one to happen at, because I think the experience that we have up there, defensive line-wise, the quality of players that we have allows us to overcome that. And we've got a bunch of guys that can play multiple spots across the front. And I think that's going to be good for us, too, defensively in terms of being able to be multiple. So, like anything else, do you want it to happen? No. But is there a silver lining in there as well? I believe so.
Coach, you guys lost some guys in that linebacker room, but gained some pretty good ones as well. Can you talk about the leadership that Pop's bringing with his experience and just the linebacker room in general?
Yeah, when you talk about the linebacker room and you talk about experience and leadership, I think you've got to, specifically if you're talking inside linebacker, the first person you go to is De'Eric. And as long as De'Eric's been here and he understands our system, and he's been really good for Pop, in terms of being able to, essentially translate our defense, help him grow within, because every time you change, systems, like you have to get adjusted, and what you don't want, is a really good player that is playing slow because he's thinking. We've got to get to the point where all the guys on defense that are playing, they sort of do it unconsciously, so they can play fast and they just play ball like they know how. To have De'Eric there, obviously Pop's shown what he can do in this league and in college football in general. So excited to see that. Excited to see a guy like David Rayner continue his progression. I thought he got better each and every game throughout the year and was playing at a really good level for us last year. I think he's got more command of the system this year. You've got a guy like Alex Fari that can play inside now as well and outside. So, he knows how to play sort of in that field apex, but he also has a lot of skill set that fits that inside backer position. So I feel good about that room. I feel good that we've got solid old guys with a lot of reps in college football, and then you've got some young talent that the future is bright in that room that are going to be able to learn from those guys. Fast, long, athletic guys, and so which will also help on special teams.
Brad, what did you all like about Christian's story, and what are your expectations for him?
Yeah, well, what do we like about Christian? You've got a guy that's long, he's athletic, he knows how to play the safety position, he's played it in the SEC. Obviously, playing in a system like Alabama, You know that he knows how to adjust to a lot of different coverages, checks, run fits. So that's not going to be something that was going to overwhelm him, and it hasn't. So he's been able to, and personality-wise, he's come in and he fits with that room. You know, again, you talk about the inside backers on a previous question. The safeties is another group that you just feel really good about, you know, in terms of having, you know, Zion Childers, Jordan Lovett, Ty Bryant, Christian Story. Like, you got 4 guys that are SEC safeties. They've played and been really successful in SEC games. So again, it gives you the opportunity to be multiple, you know, what you do. And it also allows you to absorb, you know, when an injury occurs within a game, or maybe it's a multiple game deal, you've got the ability to absorb that. Depth is always important, and to be able to have the ability within a game to keep guys fresh so that you don't wear out through a game, it's a huge advantage for us.
Coach, Ty Bryant from Frederick Douglass High School, how's his progression?
Really good. Yeah, I mean, and when we saw it last year, you know, I'll readily admit, I thought Ty played at a level that I didn't anticipate Ty playing as a true freshman. We knew he was a mature young man. We knew he was conscientious. We knew his work ethic, all the things that we loved about him. But to be able to step up in the moments that he stepped up in was huge. And it's a testament to him. It's a testament to his work ethic. He's taken another step, you know, this spring. I think there's a confidence and command in his game. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's still really fast. So a guy that we're really, really excited about.
Brad, Mark mentioned maybe more sticky in coverage, cornerback. Just how do you feel about that group entering the season with obviously Pax leading the way?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, obviously, you know, there are things that we have to do to continue to improve on defense, continue to adapt, you know, sort of in the changing environment, and, you know, being able to play some man-to-man, be able to get sticky, you know, on those outside edges. Obviously, I think Max has put himself, he's had a really good offseason, put himself in good position, and I think we've got good competition opposite. But it's early in camp right now, obviously, so a lot to be seen. What I'm looking for is guys to be consistent. The nice thing is we have a lot of bodies that don't have to take all of the workload. We can distribute it across, you know, with guys like Jansen Dunn and J.Q. Hardaway and Nasir Addison and DJ Waller. Like, you just think, and then you throw in true freshmen in there that have done really some good things throughout summer and the first 2 days of practice. So it's going to be a really, really good competitive room, and really excited to kind of see how it all shakes out. Right. That's the one position I don't know.
There were times last year the secondary was doing their job, right, but the front not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. The sack numbers were low at times. So with the unit, that's going to be probably as good as anyone in the SEC in pass coverage. How important is it knowing if you get more pressure on the quarterback, it could certainly bring your defense to another level?
Yeah, you know, we talk about it since I've been here. They all tie together, right? And it's fine. There were times last year that we would get sort of plenty of pressure. We would miss a sack. You know, the South Carolina game jumps to mind. And we had 2 opportunities on the very first drive to get off the field on 3rd down. One, we lost leverage in coverage, something that we shouldn't have done. It should have been off the field. We were walking into a sack. And then 2, we had a missed sack, which then led to a big 3rd down conversion. So there were breakdowns on all sides last year at times, and that's why it's so important that they work together. Obviously, really excited about the front that we returned, because like anything else, I think people, interceptions, turnovers, sacks, a lot of times they come in bunches. It's just not always super consistent. But if you, from a purely statistics, and that is what it is, like, this was the defensive line, and what they did last year was the 2nd most sacks since I've been here, only behind the Josh Allen year. and it was the most tackles for loss that we had since I've been here. So like they were disruptive up front. Obviously, when we return all those guys this year, you need to keep that production going up front. You know, and then you mix in, you know, being able to play sticky, you know, in stickier in coverage at times, being able to make some plays on the back end, and then when you have a chance to be at the quarterback, you've got to be able to finish.
You've got two kids in there, Silver and Walker, can play, can't you?
Yeah, we've got Silver, we've got Walker, we've got Oxendine, we've got Ripka. Like, I think, obviously, I think everybody in this room understands the impact that Dion has on a football game. I think people don't necessarily realize how well guys like Keyshawn Silver, how well Trey Ripka played last year, how well Ox played, the jump from 2 years ago for Ox to last year, and then this year his weight's back up to where it was when he was, you know, before the injury, and as powerful as ever. You know, you have Khalil Saunders who makes plays, you know, big plays for us, and he's big and athletic, and I mean, this is as good of a cumulative front, you know, as we've had, and then you throw in young guys, and you throw in a guy like, you know, Gerard Smith in there, and Kendrick Gilbert coming back off of injury, you know, from last year where he was sort of, you know, one, he was a freshman, two, coming off a shoulder, you know, he's stronger, he was already, you know, made some flashes in some of these early practices, so you've got depth there, you can roll those guys, you can keep them fresh, so yeah, that's exciting. And then obviously, you know, the position we haven't talked about is that, you know, that outside linebacker position, and, you know, to be able to return JJ, who, you know, there are times that he can just dominate a game and he can take over. He understands that this is the year that he needs to do that consistently.